Hey guys, just hanging out on a Thursday. Kids are in bed, I'm in my jammies, and I figured I would do a real quick video. I know a lot of people wanted to see how I do my at-home dip powder nails. I used to go to the salon all the time, spent lots of money on them. So I've been doing this way before quarantine. I'd say probably since last fall. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do and how much money you can save, and just a couple of little tips and tricks I've picked up along the way to hopefully make things a little bit easier for you guys. And yes, if you struggle with painting your own nails with regular polish and you think, oh, I can't do this, promise you can. I still can't paint my nails with nail polish very well without making a mess of everything, but dip powder is totally different. So come hang out with me in my kitchen while I show you guys what I do to get my nails done. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is push back your cuticles. See if you guys can see that. Yep. Because really the key to getting these to stick at home is prepping your nail, and you wanna keep as much of your cuticle out of the way as possible. And I'm actually only gonna do a couple of nails for you guys to see this. But I push them back just to get them out of the way, and they actually look kind of rough right now. Go like that. Rough file, and you just want to rough up your nail a little bit, your natural nail. You want to take the shine off, so that way the liquid, the step one, the Pro Base, has something to stick to. I'll do this one too. So just take the shine off the nail. You don't want to go too crazy with it because you can actually damage your nails if you're not careful. Make them really thin. And then just wipe off that extra dust from your nail. And then I'm going to be using, this is Revel nail. Oh. And then it's Mystified. Y'all know I love my glitters, so this is what it looks like in the jar. So pretty. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take my Pro Base as step one. It really, all this is like, it's a glue, right? So you're going to paint the glue on your nail and then dip your nail into the powder, and that's what helps the powder stick to your nail. So I'm going to make sure that my surface is nice and clean. I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to start, you want to do thin layers of the Pro Base. And the first pass at this, I don't go all the way down my nail. I start right about here on the nail, and I don't go all the way to the free edge. And then I dip at a bit of an angle, let it sit in there for a minute, not a minute, just a couple seconds, and then top off the excess. So it's not going to cover the whole nail the first go. And the reason that I do this is so it's not as bumpy and big near the cuticle and the edge of your nail, so you don't wind up with chiclet nails, unless that's the look you're going for. If you like really thick nails, then you can do thicker coats and get closer to the edge right away. I don't really like that, so I do multiple layers, and then each time I do a layer, I get closer and closer to the cuticle. So then I'll do it again here, about 3/4 of the way down. And then dip into this gorgeous powder. Tap off the excess. And then take my brush, my fluffy brush, brush off the excess. The real reason you want to do this is to keep, this helps keep each layer smooth, so you don't have to do as much buffing later. And then it helps prevent contaminating your Pro Base. Because if you get a lot of product, a lot of powder in this container, it'll start to get kind of thick and goopy and virtually useless, to be honest. So make sure you brush that off really, really good. Actually, I forgot the bottom. Get the underside also. Brush that off. And then I go back for another layer of Pro Base. And this time I'm going to come down, move this out of the way, a little bit further. So I'm going to come down to about right there and pull up, trying to keep my layers nice and thin towards the edge. And since I have one layer of powder on here, I'm going to wipe this off on my paper towel before I stick it back in the bottle to help prevent it from being contaminated. And then I dip and dust off the extra. So there's still some exposed, and then I'll go back in a third and get even closer to the edge. So I'll brush off this finger. Don't be afraid to push really hard, because these, once they're dried, it's on there pretty good. It's not coming off. So then I'll go another layer on this finger. You can see. So pretty. I love this color. Those blue glitters. There's some green in there. And then we'll do a third coat on this nail. And you want to be careful that you don't flood your cuticles. And basically what that means is you don't want to push the liquid up and over your cuticle, because that'll cause it to lift. That'll cause the dip to lift as it grows out a lot sooner. And to avoid doing that, you start away. So I don't put this right down here on the cuticle. I start up here, kind of push the liquid down towards the cuticle and pull up. And I'll do the same thing on the edges. I'll start here and then push it down towards the edge. Paint it on, a little messy there. And then dip into the powder and tap it off. See how pretty? And then I use this, if I feel like I got a little too close to the edge, I will run it around the edge of the nail to try and keep it off of the skin, and that helps get that nice, nice clean edge right by your cuticle that everyone loves to have. So I'll do that on this nail too, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got 3 layers of dip powder on these nails, and they should be pretty dry, good to go. And so the next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your step 2, which is your activator here. Yeah, does it say on there? Yeah, activator. And what this does is it'll help kind of solidify all these layers together. And you don't have to be as precise with this. You can kind of, you don't need to be like super sloppy about it, but get it on there. You want to make sure you get the cuticles, the free edge, the tip, make sure everything gets nice and finished, nice and stuck together. And then you let that dry for a couple of minutes, and then we'll start filing. Okay, so these should be pretty dry, and usually, I don't know if you can hear it, you can tap it and hear that it's solidified. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same file. I'm going to take the rough side of the file. I think this is a 180 grit, and then on the side is smoother. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go around the edges to get it smooth around the edge and around my cuticle area here. See if you guys can see that. If you have a curved file, it's a lot easier, obviously, to get around this circle, this curve. And don't worry if it looks like it's totally jacking up your nail in all the work that you just did, because it's not. You're just going to smooth out the edges, make sure that there's no rough spots. I mean, as you can see, I don't know if you can see that very well here. It's kind of patchy right there, but I do the edges very lightly. And then because I don't want this to be rough when I am done, I'm going to file the top of it down also so it's smooth. And it is going to look strange. And really, if you're using a glitter or a shimmer, I think this would be considered a shimmer, you want to dip in a clear powder on top, and that will help keep your glitters safe from dulling down. Because if you file the glitter directly like this, you can file that beautiful color off, and then they'll just turn into silver glitters. So just something to keep in mind. You don't have to do that with all of your dips. But big glitters and shimmers, you probably should. So just file down the edges, get it nice and smooth. And it is going to look really weird, but it'll be better, I promise. So go like this, back around that edge. You can even use a small, one of those thin metal files if you find that these are just too rough on your cuticles, and just be nice to your skin. You don't have to go like hard at it. You can tell on the top, you rub your finger on the top, you can see if there's any lumps that you want to smooth out. Just smooth that out so it doesn't catch on things later, because that drives me crazy. Like that. And then I'll flip it over and I'll take the smoother side and kind of even it out a little bit. Not too much, just to get a smoother finish. That's not as important on glitters and shimmers, this step, as it is on like more matte finishes, because on solid colors you can see more of the grit, the grain when you filed. So if you do a really rough file on a smoother color, you want to flip it over and do that. So now that I have filed my nails, I'm going to take my buffing block, which is well loved, and I need a new one, and I'm going to buff out the nail to make it even smoother. Hopefully smooth out any more of those lines. Do the same thing on this one. And then I'm all done with filing and buffing. So when you're done filing and buffing, you want to take your activator again, or your step 2, depending on what kit you're using, and do a second coat of activator, okay? So then I go back through and you can see all that weird color that we had from filing is gone. So I like to dip a couple of times, get that edge really good. And you want to make sure you get the edge, the tip here, covered really well, so that way as your nails grow out, the dip doesn't separate from your nail at the front. Cover that up nice and good. And then we will wait for that to dry, and we'll be right back. Okay, so these are dry, and it's important that you don't wait too long after your second coat of activator to do your step 3. Don't wait too long, because then the step 3 will never dry. Before we put on our step 3, we're going to take a lint-free cloth. I get these little squares off of Amazon. I can find them and link them here if you want. Just make sure it's lint-free, because if you have any rough edges, the lint will stick to your nail. So I take this and rub all over the nail. This pushes any of the activator that's just kind of hanging out on your nail. We'll push it down into your nail or wipe any excess off. If you get activator on the tip, on the brush of your step 3, it will harden the brush and you will ruin your top coat. So this step is important to do. You don't want to neglect this, this part. And I also have these right here. I have a couple of them that when after I paint on a layer of step 3, I will wipe off on this before I put it back in the bottle, for the very same reason that I don't want my brush to harden. So I'll take this out. And the first pass that you do, you'll do 2 coats of this top coat. The first one, you want to try and do quick strokes. You don't want to be too specific, too detailed. So I start in the middle and then go like this, 1, 2, and then 3. And then I'll wipe it on this and I'll stick it back in the bottle for my next nail. And then do the same thing on this finger. Try to keep it to 3 strokes if you can. 2, 3. And then wipe that off and put it back in the bottle. You don't want to wait for this to dry too long. When I do a full set, I will usually do one hand and then do it again before I move on to the next one. And I don't know if you can tell, but you can see how it's kind of wrinkly. When it starts to look wrinkly, when your top coat looks a little wrinkly, that's when you're good to put on the next coat. So it's starting to dry a little bit, but it's not totally dry. So then I get a little more on my brush. And then this one you can be a little more precise with. You don't have to go as fast. You can do more than, 3 strokes, a little more detailed. You want to cap the edge there, which is harder to do on shorter nails without getting it on your skin. And if you get it on your skin, it's no big deal. Just go like this, wipe it off. And you can tell the difference between this nail and this one. See how this one's really shiny and this one's wrinkly? This one still needs to be done. So I'll do my second coat, top coat here. And put it back in the bottle. And then this takes about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to dry totally. And then you can go about your day. And as you can tell, I am not perfect. See that right there? Not perfect. Doesn't matter. I do these at home. You can get these kits from Revel, the liquids. You get these 3 and gel thinner. They have different kits. You can get one color or I think multiple colored kits for anywhere between 30 and 50 bucks. I have done at least 10 manicures on myself with this set of liquids, plus numerous sets on friends and family, and I'm not even close to being out of these liquids. So I'd say $50, for a set of liquids and 2 or 3 colors is a really good deal, considering I would spend anywhere between $50 and $60 per mani every 3 weeks because I'm bougie and your girl likes the glitter, so that always costs extra. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to see or if you have any questions. I'm still working on my ombre technique, but I can also do another video at another time if that's something that you guys would be interested in. I'm going to link the products below that I have used from Revel and that I found on Amazon. And yeah, if there's anything else that you guys want to know, just ask me. Okay, thanks.